kind of short for stormtroopers, right? Welcome to this May the 4th be with you edition of Mortified Live. Good evening, I'm Alex Keefe. I'm WBEZ's engagement editor, and we want to say a big thank you to all of the life forms in the audience tonight, because we cannot do programs like this and fulfill Chicago Public Media's mission without people just like you. You help us do impactful journalism, you help us answer key questions facing our democracy, to hold people accountable, and to figure out the answer to the question, who shot first? You can join the force at wbez.org/donate by becoming a member. And you're also supporting programs like this, Mortified, where grown-ass adults tell horrifying, mortifying stories in front of a room full of absolute strangers. Tonight, we're going to take a trip to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, our adolescence. We'd like to say a big thank you to the Music Box tonight for hosting us, for Goose Island, our sponsors. Thank you so much to Steingold's Deli next door for your support. Also to our captioner, Joe Gale, who's making this evening's product much more accessible to folks. And finally, a big round of applause to Dennis, the organist. Dennis knows just enough of a song that sounds like Star Wars not to get Disney's lawyers crawling up our thermal exhaust port. Thank you, Dennis. Stick around after the show. We have a screening of Return of the Jedi that starts at 10:15-ish. If you registered online, stay in your seat. You don't have to do anything. If you did not, please go to the box office during or after the show, and you can get a ticket for that. May the 4th be with all of you, and right now, please help me welcome to the stage Katie and Eric and the Mortified Band.
Guys. I'm Katie. This is Eric. This is Dwight. This is Jeff. I forgot your name for a second, Jeff. Sorry. Eric and I are
Which one is Jeff?
I don't know. Eric and I are the producers of Mortified Chicago, and we're also going to be your hosts for tonight, and we're also going to force you to listen to us sing.
Force.
This goes out to everybody who remembers that NSYNC was almost in Attack of the Clones.
That's true.
It's true.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Here it comes, millennium, and everybody's talking about Jerusalem. Is this the beginning or beginning of the end? Well, I got other thoughts, my friend. See, I got my eyes on the skies, the heavenly bodies on high. So if you're in the mood to take a ride, then strap on your suit and get inside. If you wanna fly, come and take a ride, take a space ride with the cowboy, baby. If you wanna fly, come and take a ride, take a space ride with the cowboy, baby. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo. We don't need no prophecy telling us what's a sign, 'cause paranoia ain't the way to live your life from day to day. So leave your doubts and your fears behind. Now don't be afraid at all, 'cause up in outer space there's no gravity to fall. Put your mind and your body to the test, 'cause up in outer space it's like the wild, wild west, baby. Wanna fly, come and take a ride, take a space ride with the cowboy, baby. If you wanna fly, come and take a ride, take a space ride with the cowboy, baby.
Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Why-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. So this next one, please sing along. It's more fun if you sing along. It makes also us feel better if you sing along. Oh yeah.
It's a little hard to read some of it, but you'll get it after like the fifth
If
time.
that's not a dead giveaway.
Spoilers.
A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far away, Naboo was under an attack. And I thought me and Qui-Gon Jinn could talk the Federation into maybe cutting them a little slack. Their response, it didn't thrill us. They locked the doors and tried to kill us. We escaped from that gas and met Jar Jar and Boss Nass. We took a bongo from the scene and we went to Thee to see the Queen. We all wound up on Tatooine. That's where we found this boy. Oh my, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. And he left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, saying soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. You know this junkyard slave isn't even old enough to shave. He can use the Force, they say. How do you see him hitting on the Queen, though he's just 9 and she's 14? Yeah, he's probably gonna marry her someday. Well, I know he built C-3PO, and I've heard how fast his pod can go, and we were broke true. So we laid a wager or two. He was a preview best and flying ace, and the minute Jabba started up that race, well, I knew who would win first place. Oh yes, it was our boy. We started singing,
My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, saying soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi.
now we finally got to Coruscant, the Jedi Council we knew it won, to see how good the boy could be. So we took him there and we told the tale, how his midi-chlorians were off the scale, and he might fulfill that prophecy. Oh, the council was impressed, of course, and he bring balance to the Force. They interview the kid. Oh, training they forbid, because Yoda sensed in him much fear. And Qui-Gon said, now listen here, just stick it in your pointy ear. I still will teach this boy. He was singing,
My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, saying soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi.
Oh, missed that. There it is. That's a D7. That's a tough guy. One more time.
we caught a ride back to Naboo, 'cause Queen Amidala wanted to. I frankly would have liked to stay. We all fought in that epic war, and it wasn't long at all before little hotshot flew his plane and saved the day. In the end, some Gungans died. Some ships blew up and some pilots fried. A lot of folks were broken. The battle droids were broken. And the Jedi I admire most met up with Darth Maul and now he's toast. I'm still here and he's a ghost. I guess I'll train this boy. I was singing
My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, singing, soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi.
We were singing
My, this here Anakin guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. He left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, singing, soon I'm gonna be a Jedi.
Way to go, everybody! You guys sound great!
That was cool.
This is the way!
I feel like that's something I dreamed of doing when I was the age of Mortified presenters, you know? That was rad as heck.
That was so rad. That was so rad.
We only have 2 songs for you tonight because that one was a long one, so we're gonna get to the show. How about that? If someone can please grab my guitar, I'm gonna introduce this thing. Over here. Hello, everybody. It's a different person. Hi, I'm Eric. Welcome to Mortified. Al said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I want to make sure before I get into anything else to thank all of the amazing people who made tonight happen. WBEZ, of course, the Music Box, 312 Steingolds, the 501st Legion, Dennis on the organ, Joe on captions, and of course, all of you. Thank you for being here on this very special May the 4th. So, as Al said, we are doing a special screening of Return of the Jedi. Oh, sorry. This is true, actually. The Disney people insisted that in all social media, we refer to it as Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi. And so if I hear anybody say Return of the Jedi, even casually, you're out of here, all right? In this house, we respect brands, okay? I've seen Tetris, I've seen Air. The real heroes are the ones who buy the licenses. Right? So, someone said no? Oh, buddy, Disney's on to you. So who's seen Mortified before? Well, if you haven't, okay, so Mortified is a show about shame, all right? And my views on shame have evolved in the last, I don't know, when was Donald Trump elected? Since then, sometimes I think shame is okay. Like, let's take like a random example. So let's say like you're like the hugest movie studio on the planet, and instead of like hiring actors for like the 5th episode of a major Disney Plus series, you like digitize in like a very ghoulish way the lead of your franchise, and then make an AI voice of that character instead of actually hiring the man who is like a noted voice actor. That, I think that deserves shame. Just a random example. God, Book of Boba Fett. Whoa, rough. Andor was cool though, right? But good news for everybody here. The people in this room are people. They're not corporations. And so we're going to experience personal shame tonight. The shame all these folks who are coming up on stage are about to share with us. And we're all going to feel it. We're all going to remember what it was like to be teens. And then we're all going to exercise it out of our bodies together in this great mass catharsis. And tonight we're doing it with the Star Wars theme, you know, quasi-spiritual like Force stuff. So that's what we're doing tonight. Does that sound good to everybody? All right. I thought so. This is the way. And remember, as long as we all respect brands, this is going to be a good night, guys. So with that all said, everybody please put your hands together for these 5 brave souls who are about to get mortified. Oh, it's me. Holy crap. That's crazy. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric, but you already knew that. So, what a surprise. I didn't know I was next. Something you need to know about me is that from a very, very young age, so many of my life decisions have been driven by dedication to very nerdy things that I love. And a cool 24 years ago in 1999, the thing that I loved the most was Star Wars, okay? Obviously, because I'm here. I was obsessed with The Phantom Menace. That was such a touch point for people in my generation. I saw the movie like 5 times in theaters. I had the entire line of action figures. I don't know if you remember, they came with like the bases that would say lines from the movie if you put them on the right electronic thing. For some reason, this is true, I even wrote a letter to Cliff's Notes arguing that they should analyze the novelization of the movie like they did for literary classics because Star Wars was high art. I don't still have that letter, unfortunately. My 15-year-old heart was not ready, though, to accept the way most other people viewed The Phantom Menace, poorly. And so, come the end of May 1999, this frustrated high school freshman had had enough. What sent me over the edge? A 20-point takedown of Episode 1 in the Chicago Tribune. To see the faults of the movie laid out so matter-of-factly hurt me in an apparently profound way, because I was moved to respond with a point-by-point rebuttal. I was young, hormonal, convinced I was smart, and full of nerd rage. And I had to let the editors of the Tribune know how seriously they had wronged not just me, but a generation. So, much to my then delight and now horror, the Tribune published only one article to stand as the people's voice against their cruel review, mine. So, you see it says, comments you send up there. I was the sender, okay. This is my rebuttal. How wonderful. Yet another article trying to make The Phantom Menace look like a bad movie, thereby taking away the general sense of awe the general populace has after seeing this movie. I am going to poke a hole in every single one of your complaints. Maybe then the newspapers will stop bashing the second best movie ever. Okay. To represent the voice of the Tribune, let's bring back out Mr. Al Keefe, please. Princess Al Keefe. That's what we think of the Tribune in this house. We're a Sun Times family. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Number 1. In the climactic lightsaber fight, 2 versus 1 is unfair.
Remember, Darth Maul revealed his two-edged saber before the fight began. Besides, much is at stake, and Qui-Gon knows from experience Maul is a dangerous opponent.
Number 2. Darth Maul's character is woefully underdeveloped.
Darth Maul serves his purpose in this movie well enough. He appears intimidating and immensely powerful, and he does just that. Lucas does not give the audience too much. Maul is very interesting as is, simply because we do not know about him. Not to mention, Maul will more than likely return in Episode 2. You don't really believe he's dead, do you?
Number 3. Jar Jar Binks is annoying.
When he's on screen, he's almost always comical. Look at the scene in Watto's shop. Although towards the beginning he is hard to understand, it makes more sense the second time.
Number 4. The force field doors introduced in the lightsaber duel are a confusing device.
The combatants were dueling near the Naboo Palace's main power source, were they not? Therefore, the force field doors are there to prevent sabotage. They are obviously timed as to trap potential prisoners. How do you think the Jedi knew just when they were about to open? They're feeling me.
Number 5. Why are the robot soldiers so ineffective and fragile?
On the contrary, the droid shot many Gungans and one of Amidala's guards during the movie. They are no better shots than the stormtroopers, with apologies to these guys. Aside from this, there is an allegorical aspect here. Do not send machines to do a man's job.
Number 6. It's silly that the robot soldiers are all powered by a single computer.
How else would droids be governed but by a giant computer? Giving each its own consciousness would take too much time and greatly lower the Trade Federation's number of soldiers. Okay, actually, honestly, I do think the Tribune was kind of wrong about that one. But so far, these are like pretty reasoned responses, right? Certainly not overly emotional or anything. My identity isn't tied up in this defense. Right, guys?
Number 7. As Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor is less animated than Al Gore.
How can you say that? Did you not see the fight scenes at the very beginning?
Number 8. Samuel L. Jackson was miscast. He looked bored.
How could you say that? Jackson is a definite Star Wars fan and has said numerous times how much he enjoyed his role.
Number 10. Bad dialogue. Anakin's last words to his mom?
How dare you? You've just insulted the most emotional scene in the movie. Don't you see at all? Shmi asks Anakin if they will meet again, knowing Anakin has the Force. This is her way of reassuring the poor boy who is cast into a whole new world.
Number 14. When Anakin leaves his mom, would tears have been too much to ask?
Okay, stop. Just stop. This is the single most insulting thing in all of the Phantom Menace reviews. Stop, and I mean stop bad-mouthing Jake Lloyd. Almost every critic has commented on his bad acting, and it simply isn't fair. Jake is only 9 years old, and for his age and the depth of his part, he does an excellent job. If you expect Citizen Kane-style acting from a 9-year-old, you expect too much. Besides, would the staff of the Tribune like to make a movie as good as Phantom Menace? I don't think you could, frankly. In fact, I know you couldn't. So leave the movie alone, you pompous oafs. Now, to my credit, I've never seen the Tribune make a movie. I had a few more things to say. Oh, and let's thank Mr. Alke for voicing the Tribune. I'm sorry I called you a pompous oaf. You're a lovely human being. You guys can take him away. Don't shoot anyone, okay? So, I had a few more things to say. You can probably guess the gist of them. And I ended my letter with this line. There you go. All 20 of your complaints shot down by a humble 15-year-old. Yeah, real humble. Now the thing is, there's a major part of me on display in that letter that I actually am still proud of. The part of me that wholeheartedly embraces media that I love because it brings me joy. Unfortunately, I just hadn't learned too much else to complement that. I overstated my points. I got way too personal. And the worst, I didn't know how to listen to others' differing views. Honestly, I kind of sounded like every angry, self-entitled dude on the internet today, and a lot of them are still talking about Star Wars, so in a way, I was on the vanguard of that. But I'll let you think about that on your drive home. But for me, fandom is still a major driving force of my life. Even as an adult, many of my strongest friendships have been forged over hours of Magic the Gathering. I publish modules for Dungeons & Dragons on the side. I actually have a really ambitious Kickstarter dropping Monday, so, you guys look out for that. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I dreamed of doing when I was a kid. Thank you. When I was a kid writing this letter. I'm glad I learned to combine my love of nerdy things with generally good human behaviors, like accepting that people might not like the things that I do. Also, I've had 2 decades to think about this, and I have to admit that, honestly, Phantom Menace really is pretty bad. Thanks, everybody.
Hi. Hello, I'm Jen. Someone already knew me. It's great. Travel with me, if you will. A long time ago, back to the year 2005. I live in a small town in central Indiana, a town with a mostly shuttered, depressed Main Street, a strip of buildings that my parents and other adults would point to and say, that used to be a movie theater, or that used to be a nice hotel. It used to be something, but those days were gone. The coal mine was closed and the world had moved on. But thank God for the internet. It was my portal to another world, to culture at large. Our household got online in 1995, and there was no looking back for me. The internet was a safe haven for weird teens like me. That's right, I wasn't like those other girls, oh no. I was a geek girl. I wanted so badly to belong, and also for boys to make out with me. When I learned that a Star Wars convention was coming to Indianapolis, a 90-minute drive from my town, I realized it would be the perfect opportunity to hang out one-on-one with that cute kid Austin in my keyboarding class. He was a nerd too, just like me, and super cute blonde with a nice smile. Certainly it was meant to be. And so I hatched a plan. I present to you the following entries from my blog in April of 2005. April 18th, 2005. The highlight of my day, explaining to Mr. Wright why the 80s song Turning Japanese is about masturbation. Awkward and somewhat embarrassing, yet hilarious at the same time. Oh, I'm totally going to Star Wars Celebration 3 on Friday. Great segue. I am pleased with my success at shutting down my parents' overprotective tendencies. I managed to convince the newspaper staff that an article on Star Wars would fit quite nicely in the graduation issue. Then I came right home and told Mommy and Daddy dear that I really need to go to Star Wars Celebration 3 in Indy because the editors would like me to write about it for newspaper. Triumph! They said I can go as long as I'm not back at a late hour. And my dad needs to know who I'm going with because a lot of weirdos go to those things. So true. But I don't think he acknowledges the fact that his daughter is one of those weirdos, haha. Yeah, I don't know who I'm going with yet, but since we have Friday off from school, I'm certain I'll be able to find someone. And I knew exactly who that someone was. This was a plant, right? I was hoping he was reading my blog, and luckily he did. So Austin and I planned our trip to Indy during keyboarding class. Austin would drive, and I printed the map quests. April 22nd, 2005. I shall be departing for the celebration in approximately half an hour. I didn't get to stencil the awesome t-shirt like I was planning to. By the time I got home from hanging out with my ladies, I was too exhausted to painstakingly cut out the stencil with an X-Acto knife. It was going to be a silhouette of Han Solo with the words, "Han shot first" next to it. You don't get it, do you? You're no Star Wars fan. And then, April 23rd, 2005. Prepare yourselves. Star Wars Celebration 3. Austin and I, two very excited children, arrived at the convention center at around 7:30 to begin our 2.5-hour wait in line. As the line began to grow behind us, it started pouring down rain. The line stretched. The line stretched all the way around the convention center, up the stairs of the RCA Dome, and beyond. It didn't take long for us to become soaked and freezing cold. So this is the stuff fanfic dreams are made of. He gave me his hoodie from the backseat of his car. Oh my God. He definitely liked me, right? Austin and I came to accept the fact that we were gonna look unkempt and disgusting for the rest of the day. Good thing we were at a Star Wars convention. After suffering through more than 2 hours of cold, rainy hell, the doors were opened and we fans stampeded into the convention center. It was my decision where we went first, so I dragged Austin to see Star Wars the musical. I'd heard of it before and was interested in seeing it. Tap dancing stormtroopers, you can't beat that. What about these guys? Come on, a little tap dance. Lunchtime approached, and in order to avoid the exorbitant prices of food at the convention center, we took the Skywalk to Circle Center Mall and ate in their food court. Then we did a little shopping. Austin went to peruse the compact discs available at the Sam Goody. Inside Sam Goody, we ran into an awesome-looking costumed Anakin that we'd seen in the convention center earlier. He was buying some batteries for his lightsaber. Pretty good! I asked him if he'd pose for me, and he was more than happy to do so. I think the background of the mall is hilarious in this picture, don't you? Little girl is great. Little girl in the pink, serving. Especially since it's illegal to photograph in most shopping malls. A mall cop came up to me as we were leaving and handed me a card of rules and regulations with no photography allowed circled. Luckily, he didn't see me take the picture earlier. He just decided to warn me since I had a camera around my neck. Phew, it would have sucked majorly to have gotten my camera taken away or something. Wow, how rebellious. I can see why my dad was worried, huh? We had a bit of time to kill before the event we were really looking forward to. A screening of Empire Strikes Back with free popcorn. I know what you're thinking. Why waste time at the convention waiting in line to see a movie that you've already seen? The answer is this. Watching it with 1,000 eager Star Wars fans that know the movie by heart is a completely new experience. Have you ever been asked to please turn off all cell phones and lightsabers before a movie? Somehow I doubt it. We're standing in a ballroom, okay? Surrounded by cosplayers and bearded guys with sweat-stained graphic tees. Our feet hurt from walking all day. I see a pair of stormtroopers and I laugh to myself about the musical we saw earlier. I say to Austin, you know what would have made that tap dancing stormtrooper scene even better? Boba Fett. And Austin looks confused. He says, why would Boba Fett be dancing with stormtroopers? And I say, because he is a stormtrooper. Austin is gaping at me at this point. No, he's a bounty hunter. Wait, have you even seen Empire before? That's right. Despite all my posturing as a superfan, I'd never actually seen Empire Strikes Back. In fact, I don't think I even really like Star Wars. I sure as hell didn't even know what Han shot first meant. It was just a meme I saw on Fark.com. I just wanted to be a cool, chill geek girl. I wanted to be the only girl in the room. At a Star Wars convention, I go from being a 7 to a 10. It's easy to learn words like Chewbacca and midichlorians, but I just found out the hard way you can't just learn the words, not at a Star Wars convention. I felt Austin's disappointment in that moment. I was a fake, a fraud. This was not part of my elaborate plan to get him to fall in love with me. But hey, with people shouting quotes, holding lightsabers aloft, what a great way to see Empire for the first time, right? A couple weeks later, my article went out in the graduation issue of my high school newspaper. Call it a stretch if you must. But the completion of the Star Wars prequel saga with the release of Episode 3 on May 19th closely relates with the ending of high school. It provides finality to a story and leads us into the next chapter. Brad Wiltermude offers this explanation. Even though it takes place in a galaxy far, far away, the characters and situations in Star Wars share many similarities with our world. He also added the comment, "Kenobi is the man." Perhaps that is it then. The heroes of Star Wars serve as idols for all of us. Or perhaps Star Wars is just an exciting story that provides a temporary escape from our lives. The Star Wars saga means many different things to many different people. Now that the saga has finally come full circle, it's time to begin the next chapter. My next chapter sucked. Austin hooked up with my best friend at my 18th birthday party. They dated for 3 years. My friend said I wasn't allowed to be mad at her. He liked her, not you. That's not her fault. It turns out pretending to like something more than you actually do isn't a great way to get boys to like you. One of the first times my husband and I met, we bonded over our mutual love of the greatest video game of all time, Final Fantasy VI. Don't worry, I've actually played this game. I've beaten it multiple times. I know how to get go-go. And for Star Wars, it's just okay. Sorry, I fell asleep during Rogue One. And I won't be going to any conventions anymore. I'll leave that to you nerds. Thank you.
Hello. I am Mike Chuck, and if I were to describe myself as a kid, I would need just 2 words: very loud. If I were to use 2 more words, it would be Star Wars. I was enthusiastic, I was energetic, I had a void of personality that I filled with an obsession over all things Star Wars. I read every book, I played every PC game, and I watched the original trilogy every time it played on the USA Network, knowing where the commercial breaks are to this day. When I was 12, I was given an assignment to write a short story. I wrote a not-so-short Star Wars fan fiction that I'll be sharing with you tonight. I'm not going to read all of it. It's way too long. I'll read portions of it, and I'll read it as is, because this was obviously not proofread by the teacher. So I give you my fan fiction, my obsession from when I was 12, Star Wars: The Discovery. I drew that. Okay, first page, the dedication. I dedicate this book to George Lucas. This is 1994. The prequel trilogy has not come out yet, and Han still shoots first. There is still a lot of love in this heart for George. Okay, the actual story, say it with me now. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. 2 years after the defeat of Admiral Dalla and the death of the first Dark Lord of the Sith, Exar Kun, Chief of State and Jedi Knight Leia Organa Solo has sent a strike team to investigate the galaxy the Sith-Rook came from. After their disappearance, she sends a new group that she will accompany. The members of this group are Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight Kip Duran, Han Solo, Chewbacca, droids R2-D2 and C-3PO. Also, Leia's Jedi children, Jason, Jaina, Anakin, her helper, Winter, and the commander of the fleet, Admiral Akbar. She has left in charge, there's more names. She has left in charge Agus Novak, the new Minister of State of the New Republic, with the help of the former Chief of State, Mon Mothma. So there were 24 Star Wars novels published at the time. I had owned and read all of them, and I apparently wanted you to know that. As for the Sith-Rook, my apologies to the captioner, I Don't worry about spelling that one. There was a book called The Truce at Bakura. If I recall, it was horrible. But the Force had no effect on them. As we know now, that means they have no midi-chlorians. Luke was not aware of this in the novel because Yoda and Obi-Wan didn't feel as fit to teach them that because it is dumb. So everybody I just named, they're on the Millennium Falcon in this large New Republic fleet. And they end up in this new galaxy where they find a planet that is an entire city and it has a forest moon. So Coruscant and Endor, apparently. They get attacked by these mysterious ships and everybody takes flight, including Leia in her ship called Alderaan, which is hit and crashes into the moon. All of the main characters follow after Leia. While they're fixing her ship, they hear a loud roaring sound going on. Luke and Kip decide to investigate, and they end up finding the strike team they were originally trying to find. They're all dead, their ship's destroyed. The sound came again, but this time from only a few feet away from where Luke stood. Luke looked ahead to where the sound came from and saw two horrifying creatures. They were black with razor-sharp fangs. They stood on two long legs, which enabled them to tower over the two Jedi, making them even more hair-raising than they were. Like lightning, they charged towards the Jedi, who were quick to react to the attack. They immediately drew their lightsabers and activated them. They swung them through the air, cutting off the aliens' heads. Capital A, aliens. These are the xenomorphs from Aliens. So they go deeper into the forest, and they find more bodies of the original strike team hanging upside down from the trees. Don't get ahead of me. Kip looked in horror at the bodies hanging from a branch on the tree. Below them were the bodies of some more aliens. Master, I suggest we leave here. Kip looked down into his shirt and saw a red triangle moving up onto his chest. Luke looked up at the branch where the bodies hung. He didn't see anything when suddenly a predator appeared. Capital P, predator, no other introduction. All right, skipping ahead, not surprisingly, they escape, they take off, but the Millennium Falcon, it can't enter hyperspace. It happens. And instead, they get pulled into the Predator capital ship, in which, using the Jedi mind trick, Luke manages to convince a Predator to take him to the tractor beam controls, because there's always tractor beam controls. Everything's going well. The Predator's actually on his way out until, and now remember, this is for school, so certain words could not be used. Han comments, "Oh man, that's one ugly thing." The Predator goes into a rage. "Ugly, ugly," and sounds an alarm. "Luke, we're gonna have company," Han hollered. "Oh no, not again," Luke said, remembering when they had rescued Leia on the first Death Star. Han had said the exact same thing. So they end up in a long hallway of prison cells full of aliens. The aliens get released from the cells, and they all handily dispatch them. But then something else shows up. Standing before them was another alien, except this one was bigger than the others and a lot more frightening. It walked up to Chewie and opened its mouth. Out came another mouth with fangs even sharper than the larger one. It snapped at Chewie, which angered him. Chewie roared. He pulled out his crossbow and started to fire at the creature, reloading canister after canister. The creature cried out in pain. Chewie kept on firing until the creature dropped to the floor and died. After the large alien was dead, the steel doors opened. The team of 5 walked out of the room into an even larger one. On the south side of the room was a large crevice full of skulls of many types. Luke and Han walked over to it. It's some kind of trophy case. Luke looked at each skull. Every one had a tag underneath it telling which planet the skull came from. Luke saw many human skulls, but the one that interested him the most was the one that had a tag that said, Earth. Have you ever heard of the planet Earth? Luke asked Han. Nope. And that is the discovery from which the story takes its title. It was the early 90s. If you live within the broadcast area of WGN, you may remember that they played Predator 2 almost every weekend. Tuning in on some random Sunday afternoon, the alien Easter egg at the end of the film blew my preteen mind. I thought, if Alien and Predator could be in the same universe, why not Star Wars too? I mean, could you imagine a world where all your favorite characters just crossed over? How perfect and amazing would it be, right? Right? All right, let's elaborate up the story. They escape the ship, but R2, being R2, can interface with anything, did, of course, download all of the data from the ship, and the story ends with them heading to Earth, where I assume we would then meet, become best friends, and I would start training to become a Jedi, though I'd passed on the Padawan haircut. The 12-year-old that wrote this story would be so jealous of me today because I get to live in a time where there's so much Star Wars. Based on the quality of the books I used to read, they would love all of it. They'd be like Homer strapped to the donut machine in hell. And I think they'd actually be very shocked that I have not been able to keep up. It's just too much. Right? Like, more Star Wars sounds great to a kid, but is it? Was more Boba Fett better? Was more Emperor Palpatine better? I'm not that 12-year-old kid anymore. In fact, I got rid of all of their action figures recently in a garage sale. No, it's all right. It's all right. Because I'm really glad that I did. Because instead of sitting in a basement for another couple decades, they're being played with by kids like I used to be. And that's some of the greatest joy from Star Wars I've gotten in a long while. And while I've changed, there's still one thing I have in common with 12-year-old me. We both giggle when we remember that George Lucas named a musical genre jizz. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. That one's me. I'm Eileen Tull. I have always loved with my whole heart. Open, vulnerable, and committing to everything 400%. And one thing I have loved for such a long time, and with all of my dumb little heart, is Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love the beep boops and the whoosh of a door closing. I love the slimy creatures and all the puppets. I love the characters. I love Leia. I love Master Yoda. And very much most of all, I love Han Solo. I love Han Solo. Han Solo is my first and forever crush. He's cocky. He's loyal. He's impressed by a strong woman. Played by Harrison Ford, my second and forever crush. Now, Harrison Ford, he is really just my type. He's tall, he's gorgeous, he's a brown-haired carpenter. Which just so happens to describe my third childhood crush. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I was raised as a very devout conservative Catholic, and boy, did we get a lot of looks at Jesus, you know? I mean, you just picture him shirtless all the time. Always a six-pack glistening, with either sweat or blood. and he's hanging up there on the cross in a little loincloth. Anyway, here's what I was writing in my childhood journal at the time. God is so awesome. He's just amazing, almighty, and such an incredible creator. I'm so glad he created me. I love Jesus too. And the Holy Spirit. The whole Holy Trinity. I think the Pope is so cool. When I was 11 years old, they announced that there was going to be a new Star Wars movie. This was 1999. There was going to be a new Star Wars movie. And they had re-released the original trilogy in theaters with some super cool new special effects. I had gone to see all 3 of them while my dad took a nap beside me. And this new movie, this was going to be the best thing I'd ever seen. I was going to love it with my whole heart. I couldn't wait to see it. I mean, it's 1999, and here's who I was. You know, not that you need more information, but here's my little profile according to my journal. Property of Eileen Marie Tull, birth July 8th, 1987, Wednesday. Age 11, religion, this is underlined, Roman Catholic. Favorite band, the Backstreet Boys. Yeah. Favorite actor, Harrison Ford, obviously. Favorite saint? Francis of Assisi. Yes. Favorite website? LarryBoy.com. Only a couple of real ones? Okay. Favorite TV show? Touched by an Angel. This is private property. Do not read or face the consequences. So then it was time to see episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie that I was gonna love so much, this thing that I love so much, Star Wars. No. It was the first time I'd ever disliked a movie. You know, I'd gone into a movie, and usually a movie is good because it's a movie. I had wanted to love it so much, and I walked out of there so disappointed. I tried to focus on other things that I loved. So I got really, really into the Backstreet Boys. I covered my wall with posters. There wasn't even a square inch of wall left. August 1999, my favorite band is the Backstreet Boys. Brian Littrell is hotter than anyone alive. Brian is so hot that I cannot explain in words how hot he is. I think he would be the perfect boyfriend. His caring blue eyes, his pouty mouth, his locks of brown curls, his buff body, his romantic side. Everything I want in a guy. I wish Brian were 12 and was going out with me. By the way, we got the internet. It's cool. I looked up BSB. They are the hottest group in the universe, and I practically worship the ground they walk on. In the fall of 1999, I went to a Backstreet Boys concert. The Millennium Tour. Yeah. I wrote in my journal that night, Oh my God, that is the absolute best concert in the world. I hearted it so much. I cannot believe this. This is so cool. BSB came out on surfboards. They were flying around and it was so awesome. I cannot wait for the next concert. I can't express how happy I am. It's impossible. They better come back to the Natty. Cincinnati, 513. So if you're ever like, no one says the Natty, I guess I did once. It was just me and the boys and a million other screaming fans. All of us rapturously believing so hard in the same thing. I was all in, my whole heart, but I was so consumed with thoughts. Thoughts of Han Solo, sexy Jesus, and Brian. I was full of sin. I had a whole list of hotties from the summer of 2000. Hotties. Number 1, Matt LeBlanc. Lost in Space, we all remember. Number 2, Josh, a boy from my youth group. Number 3, Ben Affleck. Number 4, Will Smith. Number 5, Will Friedle from Boy Meets World. Yeah, stand up. Number 6, Kirk Cameron. Number 7, Ryder Strong, also from Boy Meets World. And number 8, Michael J. Fox. It's the year 2000. So I started going to youth group more and more, where I not only got to focus on Jesus, but I also got to meet lots of cute, human, regular boys. I wrote, there are like tens of kids there learning about our Lord Jesus Christ. It is such an amazing experience. I really love it. In August of 2000, Dear Journal, hi, my confirmation was so cool. I am now a defender of Catholicism and a soldier of Jesus Christ. I was anointed with oil. It was dripping down my face, though. I wore mom's dress because we never did find a different one. It was really plain. No offense to nuns, but I looked like one. Josh looked awesome. He had a tie. I forgot what color. And a shirt that was yellowish, and the designs on it were greenish and looked like this, and I diagrammed the designs on his shirt. I loved how he looked. Hottie central. Okay, Eileen, calm down. Who am I talking to? I also got a picture of him. I hid behind a pillar. And got him and Jim standing there. They didn't even notice. I kept that picture for years, so long. Here are all the guys that I like in youth group. Number 1, Josh. Number 2, Jim, last name? Number 3, Mike. Number 4, Lucas. Number 5, Mike. Number 7, Will. There were hotties everywhere. And they were so close to me. I was all in on all of them with my whole heart. August 2000. Today we had youth group. There was a teaching. It was really good. It really applied to my life so much. It was about persecution. A white 12-year-old in Ohio, you know? Ooh. Then we had confession. It really cleansed my soul. Oh, I have made an extremely important decision. I've decided to stop liking the Backstreet Boys. It just doesn't fit in with my new life. I want to concentrate more on Christian music. I really think this will help my new life. Now, I listen to New Life 93.3 on the radio instead of Kiss 107.1. I'm a lot happier now. I'm really happier. Okay. Being a part of this religious community was good in a lot of ways. It made me feel like a good person, and it let me be part of something bigger than myself, and it gave me something to believe in. But as I got older, it got harder to believe in something that thrives on being exclusionary. It started to feel a little lost and just not like myself. Then one day when I was 17, I found myself walking into a giant convention center in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was 2005. And I was there with my best friend and her nerdy boyfriend, and they dragged me along. And then it hit me so suddenly, like a Wampa attack out of nowhere on the snow planet Hoth. It was this feeling so tangible and joyful, like an energy field created by all living things. It was Star Wars. I was at my first Star Wars convention. First, because there were more of them. But I really felt like a kid again in all that pre-1999 joy. And most of all, I felt like myself. Someone who's always seeking kinship with others, someone who is just constantly horny. It's a Star Wars convention, baby. And someone who loves the things I love with my whole heart. And I love Star Wars to the moon and back, even if that's no moon. It's a space station. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Poon, and apparently I'm not the only one from Cincinnati. Amazing. The year is 2003. My friends and I formed our Jesuit Roman Catholic all-male high school's first science fiction club. We were more than a little obsessed with sci-fi, fantasy, action movies, your early aughts fan-subbed anime on VHS. And once we hit our senior year, we wanted to do something we'd never done before, something big. We were going to make our own fan film. And it was going to be a Star Wars movie. It was going to be our own little part of the greatest sci-fi franchise, our part of the expanded universe. We came up with the name first, fittingly today, Return of the Sith. And this wouldn't be just any fan film. This was a prequel. And it would take place, wait for it, 900 years before A New Hope. We had all original characters. They were all played by members of the Sci-Fi Club, of course. I directed, I edited everything. This is me and our co-director here. And our primary characters, Padawan Odin and Darth Artemis. They weren't really named after mythological characters, but rather our anime message board handles. All of the side characters were family and friends. By the way, our families were all in on this. They were all in on this excuse to have a big climactic lightsaber fight scene. So, now I'm going to show you, for better and for worse, some of our movie. You're ready? All right.
Take that back to the Jedi Council.
Do you think Alden is suitable for this after he ran all without any approval from the council to pursue that Artemis?
I'll probably call his actions appropriate. Disciplinary action has been taken.
You guarantee he will act without our authority?
I cannot guarantee. But up until now, Odin is the only one who can stand against our authorities.
He's only a Padawan.
Jedi are being murdered, even family members. Only a Sith Lord could cause such a disturbance in the Force. Can Darth Artemis stand alone against a galaxy of Jedi?
I want to point out, seriously, how great our families were. My mom, thank you. My mom put together her costume all on her own. She was very proud of her cape. She had star earrings. So truly, hats off to you, Mom. I love you. And seriously, everyone put in more effort into their costume than me. Which was just cargo pants and a bomber jacket. And just like the costumes, we didn't really pay attention to important things like set design, any sound that wasn't a lightsaber, cinematography. If you weren't in a scene, then you had the camera in your hands. I'd be, go, shoot it. Our mise en scène, it was so good that it included a garden hose, the family dog Crescent, she made a cameo. We had an airplane, and my favorite, the American flag. And I would love to get into it, but I won't get into the entire plot, which filled an esoteric plot hole involving Star Wars lore of Sith master-apprentice lineages, dark Jedis, family murder investigations, risks of turning to the dark side, evil ceremonies over children's chalk drawings, lots of angry staring, Star Trek communicators, main characters like this one immediately dying, and we made at least one trip to a public library. And after all of this rising tension, we finally They run off to the woods. There's a fight. Our robed Jedi does defeat this other dark Jedi, but then he meets his end. Spoiler. Darth Artemis returns to the previous location for the final fight.
Now you will feel the revenge, Master Zappa. Sith will never die.
Yay! We did it! It's not actually the end. There's a small denouement, and then the end credits. And I wanted to be really thorough, because the more credits you have, the more legitimate your movie, right? Our actors, give them a hand. All of our actors, they're in order of appearance. Pretty normal stuff. We truly tried our best. I listed the locations in order of appearance, all the songs we used, which were without permission, of course. But the coup de grace, the last credit mentioned in my high school masterpiece, was a special thanks to Keira Knightley, the crush of all of my high school celebrity crushes. And these credits, they really do, they in a way summed up our last high school summer together. We graduated, and as a thank you to everyone in the movie, I made special DVDs for the cast. It had liner notes, photos. It had a prequel story leading up to the prequel story of the movie. And I went into undergrad. I was undecided, but I had such an amazing time making Return of the Sith that I thought maybe I could learn how to be better at this. And 4 years after this shoot, I started working professionally in video production. And 20 years after this shoot, I'm still doing it. And I often think about the biggest lesson that I learned from this movie. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the art you're making is the best. And I don't even think it really matters if it's really any good. What matters is you just do it. You go for it. You finish what you started. You won't regret it. Thank you all.
Oh my God, give it up one more time for everybody who shared tonight. Weren't they amazing? Oh my goodness, that was fun. That was fun. And to learn more about them or Mortified in general, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter and I guess Facebook. We're not on TikTok because most of the production team is in our 30s. If you have any adolescent writings lying around and want to be a part of the next Mortified show, please submit. There's a website and stuff, and you can go there. And I have a list because I need a script. Thank you so much to the people who made tonight happen. My co-producer, Eric Garneau, who also presented. Our story producers, Marnie Schur, Allison Schoenfeld, and Mary Z. Our music supervisor, Dwight Hassler, our percussionist, Jeff LaRoe. They are in a real band that's not just a cover band together called Grey Ghost. They're playing at the Burlington on the 17th. Big thanks to Eddie at WBEZ and everybody at WBEZ, the Music Box, Goose Island, Steingold, Dennis over there on the organ. Joe, our captioner, the 501st, thank you so much for being a part of tonight. If you're staying for Return of the Jedi and you don't have a ticket, you can go to the box office and get one. If you already have a ticket, you can just stay in your seat. And check out our podcast on Radiotopia. Our next show will be this fall, so keep your eyes peeled to WBEZ, or ears, whatever, peeled to WBEZ for more info. And before we depart, let us review what we have learned. From Eric, we learn that you do not send machines to do a man's job. Give it up for Eric. From Jen, we learned that it is illegal to photograph in most shopping malls in 2005. Give it up for Jen. From Mike Chuck, we learned that he can do a mean Chewbacca impression. From Eileen, we learned that Brian Luttrell is hotter than anyone alive. And from Stephen, we learned that even Sith Lords use handrails. But overall, and most importantly, yeah! Yeah! We learned that we are freaks, we are fragile, and we all survived. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Have a great night. Get home safe.